Good morning, and we're back at the plot. We're in the polytunnel and it's starting to settle in a bit now that I've got this nice big polytunnel over on this plot. But I came over yesterday and I'm going to show you first of all what I did. So as you can see, there's still quite muddy in here. It is drying out a bit, it is, but today I'm hoping to get a few jobs done and hopefully start seeing some bit of progress on this area. So over on the temporary staging, I'm going to try as well this week to fit the staging up on both sides, but to be honest, it's doing its job already here, the latzo. It is a job that I want to cut up individual staging so that I can take off one compartment if I want to. So all three of these here will be separate. A bit like I had in the old tunnel where I could take them off. I couldn't use those ones because they were set individually for that tunnel because of the pipe spacing. So I've given those to Linda and Doug so they can use them on that tunnel. But look what's going on here. I noticed this last year as well, where the roots started coming back out of the compost and dropping into another one. Now I worked out that it might be that the moisture level on the top of the compost is higher than the bottom, and they're looking for obviously some moisture, and then they just do this. But I'm gonna have to repot them on at some point, but hopefully once the bed's built now in this week I can start putting these out. So who knows. We've got some freckle lettuce from Dora. The white Lisbons, spring onions are coming out. They're looking really good now. Look at all the spinach I've got, honestly, too much. These are all the pak choys, the mustards, and I've even got some lupins coming up. But I'm hoping for some red hot poker as well. No sign of those yet. And also here we've got a pile of brassicas and greens ready to go out in this tunnel and outside. Now I also checked under all these trays because you'd be shocked, because you have them so high up you think, nah, the slugs won't gather in the greenhouse. They do. They climb up and they sneak underneath, and I noticed there was a few little holes and little nibbles on some of the greenery which weren't affecting them that much, but I knew there was a pest somewhere, so I searched under all these module trays. And if you have trays like this, then please do not risk it. Have a look underneath, because one of those can just devastate a whole crop that you're ready to plant out, and there's no point planting out diseased or damaged plants because they're weaker. You know, you want them to be strong as possible so they got a fighting chance. So I went through and I found 5 little slugs and 2 snails that were all having a little munch of these in the evening times when I'm not here, and then sneaking back underneath. And I'll show you now some of the damage. It was actually on the cauliflowers, and if you can see, there's quite a few little nibbles out of some of the leaves. But that's okay, they're still looking okay and strong. We've got still plenty more other plants, and they'll do okay. I mean, these plants are looking great, but yeah, make sure that you remove all those slugs. And there was a few sneaking into this, so I've discarded those now, but I've got plenty here now to go on with. And I've said this time and time again, I don't understand people who say, like, there's nothing to grow in autumn and winter. I mean, look at all this. It's absolute bonkers, the amount of stuff that you can grow, and they're actually some of my favourite vegetables, you know, cabbages, and having those mustards ready, those nice leaves, and yeah, but there's plenty to go on with. Right, less waffling now. We need to get on with some jobs because the mud bath can't keep going on like this. I mean, I can't keep delaying it, but I have got other things as well I want to show you, so I'll show you them now actually. So the other day I popped over as well and I did a bit of a harvest and didn't quite go to plan. I collected, you know, cabbages, leeks and sprouts and swedes, and then I thought I'd get some carrots, but yeah. I just thought of something as well. Now, while I was starting to make that little casserole pack up as well, is that I actually sowed some carrots at the back of the fig and olive plot early spring, and I mean, have I actually sown some carrots and they've come? Because the foliage looks good. So let's try and dig up a carrot now, and fingers crossed I've actually grown a decent carrot. I hope so, because I'm terrible at growing carrots. I don't know why, but that's my mission again this year. I have sown some, directly sown some outside again, and I've done some in buckets, which was a success, but actually growing them outside just doesn't work for me. Let's have a look. It is looking good. How'd you get them out? Oops. It looks like a decent carrot, but I tell you what, it also looks like I can't get the bloody thing out. Right, let's get a fork. There we are. Oof. Look at that! Oh, well, he is split, but I'm happy with that. If I got any more here, yes. Look, they're not the best carrots, but they'll do. They'll do. I'm happy with those. I'm well happy with those. Let's give them a wash. I did warn you, didn't I? I cannot do it. What the hell is this? Look, it's all split. There's all holes in it from the slugs I've had to go. That's the ugliest carrot ever. But and then we've got this one. There's always next year. Let's try again. But when I took them home, prepared them, the carrots were actually alright, and they were absolutely gorgeous. They were bright orange. I actually cut off a lot of the rubbish stuff of it, but the main product in the end was a beautiful carrot, so I was happy with it. But I just wish I would have had perfect carrots for this year, but there's always next year. Let me show you what I've got in my box. So inside here, I purchased this ready for the greenhouse, because I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the greenhouse guttering was getting clogged up. So I bought this one, which was plenty enough, and then I thought then, well, the polytunnel's going to need it as well, because that is getting so full of leaves. So I've ordered some more nets for those to go over, and also some gutter guards as well, which I'll show you now. So these you pop inside the guttering where the downpipe goes and stops the leaves and all going in. So hopefully these will work, and I've got one for here and also one for the fig and olive shed as well. Because if you can see, well, there's no leaves here now, but right down there, plenty of leaves that are being washed down into the gutterings, and I don't want those going into the IBC tank and it starts getting mucky and messy. So that's the job today. Now, from my last video where the polytunnel was built, you've seen how horrendous the storm was, and that carried on for a few days. The following day, after I fitted the guttering, I cannot believe it, I fitted that in the afternoon, no rain. Overnight, and then I came over about 7 or 8 in the morning to come and collect some veg, and the IBC was full. 1,000 litres was collected off the one half of this polytunnel and collected into that IBC. So it goes to show that you can actually collect a lot of water from a polytunnel if you've got the means to do so. But I was absolutely stunned to see 1,000 litres collected. Bonkers. And since then there's been a lot of rain again, so this is absolutely boggy out here, and I'm planning on putting a pile of spring bulbs down here. And I'm a bit concerned what these little marks are on the polytunnel. I hope there's not something trying to jump up onto the polytunnel, so I'm a bit worried about that, because if you can see, they've tried a few there. So I'm hoping that that's not a cat or something, because that's going to cause a lot of damage. So we'll look at that in a minute now. I'm hoping that it's not. No, it's on the inside, so maybe it's just a coincidence really that they look like little paws, but I hope not. So since we've had more rain, this has become even more boggier down here. Now I am planning on putting a back path here so I can access the tunnel from that side, and then maybe 1.5 foot bed full of spring bulbs. Now I can't do that if all this rain is going to run down here, because it'll just rot the bulbs. So I think I'm going to fit another gutter here at some point this week so that I can collect water, or even if I just run another pipe down the side and then run it so it's outside this bed area, do you know what I mean? Go somewhere else. But yeah, I don't want this area to start rotting, because I want to start putting back paths down and getting these plots up to standard ready for spring. So yes, it's all ticking on now, so I'm pleased. It really feels nice to see a pile of greenery in the polytunnel, because it's starting to feel like this has got a purpose. But what's that noise? There's like this banging noise in the greenhouse. Hang on. Oh, so there's actually a robin stuck in the greenhouse, and I don't want to disturb him too much, so I've left the door open, and I'm sure he'll fly out. But yeah, I didn't want to distress him too much by trying to catch him, and so I've opened the door up. I don't know how he's got in though, because the door was shut. So maybe he's flown in when the window had opened, when it got a bit warmer, and he's stuck in there. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. There's always something going on at these allotments, honestly. There's always something.
I was lost in a city dream, and I was at home again beside the stream. Then you walked past me, and you saw me and smiled. I will never forget the first time when I saw you. I thought I lost my mind. Blue and faded was blown away and left behind. You'll always be around, even if I fail. You are like a summer breeze that I must inhale. Is it possible for us to feel this way forever? Loving you has never felt more right.
So we're almost finished with this bed now. Now I have made it a bit narrower, obviously because I want to put a central bed in here like I mentioned, but I've managed to stack this on bricks just to keep it off this mud a little bit. Base plate is on. I've used that as the bed as well. So yeah, staging has also been fitted up as well. Now it's a bit wonky at the moment, but I'm going to obviously have to adjust it and tighten it, because I'm going to stack it on some bricks as well to bring it up. Now I'm also going to add these little clips that I've mentioned before on this side as well to give that staging a bit more stability, and then we can fit the staging on here. And I've got some other plans as well, because I ordered another 2 of these thinking I was going to put them on the ends, and then when the guys came to fit it, they said, oh, you can't put staging on the ends of this design because the roller screen is there. I was like, oh right, okay. So I bought them for no reason at all. So I've got 2 of these legs, but I've got a plan for those, which I'm going to show you in a bit. Also, the sliding door clasps have arrived that I mentioned in the last video as well. So I've got one for the one door, one for the other. Now I've decided I'm going to put one on the outside of the main door coming in, so I can just brace it more when I need to from strong winds. But the other side, I'm going to put it on the inside, because I don't actually want to be using those lockable bars going down into the soil unless it's really windy, because what's happening is I'm putting them down, I'm coming around, and then when I want to go out for the polytunnel, then I can't get out, and there's no way of opening that door without going outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them unlocked at all times, and then just lock this from the inside with this one here, so that at least there's a bit of security if there is a bit of wind, but it's locked from the inside. So let's get these done. So the lives are going well, and I'm just curious if there's any particular topics that you want brought up on these lives, because there's quite a few weeks left of the lives, and you know, if there's anything that you particularly would like to be discussed on the lives, or a particular topic, then please put a comment below and perhaps we can fit that into one of the lives. But yeah, these lives need to benefit you as well, so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Next side. There you go. And what that does is, as well, is it stops. So if the wind actually does start rattling this, it could start loosening those bars at the bottom that are locking. So at least now it also stops the doors from bowing out as well. So yeah. So there's all these little jobs that actually add up to the bigger picture, and I think sometimes we forget in the garden that even if you come over for 10 minutes and you do one little weeding job, you know, in one little bed, it does add up to the bigger picture in spring. So keep going. Even if you go over for 20 minutes and do one little job, it makes a difference in the end. So I'm now going to protect the guttering, and it's really, really clever. I've got this like plastic netting that you can cover over the guttering with, and also these little clips, and basically on the end you can snap it off. Make sure you throw this bit away, don't leave it on the ground, and this goes to the right length that you need it for the guttering, and then it goes like this, and then all you do is you push the plastic over the top. Now I don't want it rubbing on here, so I'm gonna actually, I think I'm gonna either take these screws out or put a few screws in and then have the plastic mesh bowing over a little bit, and then I'll cut it to size then here as well. So yeah, right, let's get that done. So these are the downpipe guards as well. So I pop this on here, and that will just literally stop leaves from going down. So right, let's sort the guttering out. Cue the time lapse. That's not a bad job, you know. I just kind of crimped it across there, and yeah, there's a little bit of flex in it, so I might have to tack that down or something, but yeah, that'll do just the job. It's so good to be ticking off those jobs, and I mean, like I said, they might seem little, but they do add up to the bigger picture. But I've got so much to do that I'm trying to tick them all off. And why am I so high up? There we go. I was like, you're on the camera. I'm pleased now that the gutter has got no leaves falling in. It was quite shocking how many leaves were falling into that tunnel, and yeah, at least that's done. Another job ticked off, but there's plenty more to do. Right, so I've had a bit of a break from doing this, and I think I need to get back to it and finish screwing these bits of planks together, and yeah, before long this will start looking a lot more neater. I mean, I've started leveling it off, if you can see here, and the beds, like I mentioned, I've gone in a bit because there is going to be a central bed here, and then obviously another bed this side, but there's plenty to do. And I've also decided, like I mentioned, to leave this gap here. Obviously I can't have staging, but it's nice to have areas where you can plonk some compost down, or to put your wheelbarrow and things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to all be growing space in a polytunnel. I mean, I've got the luxury of the size as well for this one, so it's nice to have a little area where you can put a potting bench, or just to put a chair and have a 5 minutes to think about what you're going to do next in the rain. So there is plenty to do in autumn, and I mean, this is the time really to be doing those DIY jobs, repairing things might have damaged through winter last year, spring and summer, and just getting those little jobs that you've got that you kept thinking, I haven't got time through spring and summer, because spring is definitely a crazy time to be trying to do extra jobs on top of sowing and growing. So yeah, use autumn for that, and especially winter, because You know, there's not much growing outside apart from the winter veg. I mean, there's not much else you can do. You can't be sowing things inside. So yeah, try and make a plan and use those rainy days inside your greenhouse or your polytunnel or inside your potting shed, and you know, have a little sort out, a little tidy, and just, it's nice just to get those things done, and you're prepared then, ready for spring. I am like a man on a mission at the moment. Honestly, there's loads to do here. There's loads to do on the fig and olive plot. Absolutely. I mean, the fruit cage is going to be built soon as well. So my brother-in-law's coming up, Tom, and we're going to have a good go on the fruit cage, get that all built, and then things can start being put away, and we'll be back in order for ready for spring, because it's a chaos here at the moment, absolute chaos. I don't know why I didn't do this just now when I was over that area, but I've actually got a new cover for this new IBC tank. I mean, I fitted one to the fig and olive plot IBC, and I mean, they're brilliant things. They keep out the sunlight, stop the water from going green. So yeah, here it is, and I'll show you now. It just literally zips over like a raincoat. Now, this is a different one to what I had before. So this one's got like a zip on it, which might be easier because the other one took a bit of battling. So if I take this off, and then this literally slips over. I'll put a link to these in the description. They're not that expensive. There we go. Now the good thing about this one as well is that I can now take off this, fit this on, and this. I'll cover this as much as I can. And I'll stop now things from falling in. Another job done. Now if you want to, you can put a few bricks on top as well, just in case you're afraid this is going to blow away. There is a zip at the front as well if you've got a tap. Now I know Ali at the Rusty Garden, she asked you know, isn't this going to get in the way of you hitting your legs? But no, it does actually turn out the way. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm actually not staying down here all day today because it's actually Charlie's birthday. So if you remember my dog Charlie, he's been on the plot a few times, and every time he causes so much mayhem here that I thought that he could be a kind of, you know, like a little novelty on the plot, a bit of a Monty Don thing. You know, dog will sit there nice and quiet, chilling out in a blanket, playing with his ball. No, Charlie is an absolute menace. He sees this place as some kind of playground, and he jumps on beds, wheeze everywhere, and he just causes so much that you concentrate on him more than actually getting the gardening done. So it didn't quite work out, but happy birthday, Charlie. Now, one thing I want to show you as well is if you notice that your onions are popping up in areas but not in others, it's okay to take off the tops a little bit, because this sometimes closes up and impedes on the shoot that's coming through. So it doesn't hurt to take this little bit off, and if you see in there now, there's a little green shoot coming through, and it just helps them along. So yeah, maybe give your onions a little haircut. And don't worry if you nick the little green shoot that's underneath, it'll be okay. Nature will always find a way, and that little nick will do nothing much to it, so don't be stressing about it. Just take off the little tops and give your onions that little helping hand. Now I really need to crack on as well, because I have so many spring bulbs, crocuses, daffodils, tulips, alliums, you name it. I've got boxes full ready to go out on both plots. And you know I like a nice floral display in spring, so they are a priority, but I got so many other things I need to get done. And also it's so wet outside, but I'm pushing it now, because if you have spring bulbs or you're planning on getting some, get them in, because this definitely is the last train to Springville. But like I said, I'm holding out a little bit because it's so wet outside and I don't want them to rot off with all this rain. Now, yes, I know they get a lot of rain through winter and things, but the plot over here is like a bog, an absolute bog, and I feel like I'd just be sending them to their death. So I'm trying to hold out a little bit, and I might actually put them into pots first and then start them off a little bit. But yeah, I'm toying it for this week maybe, but I want to put another guttering on this side as well to stop the rain drowning that bed out there. But yeah, there's loads to do, but I'll get there. Right, so I think I'm going to crack on with this. I've put it off for a bit now. I've had a little bit of a break. This definitely needs to be done, and yeah, even if I can just fill up this bed today, and then at least then I can get ready to start planting out and barking the paths and everything else. So let's get on. Now you're probably wondering why I've done this, and the reason is because I can actually add a shelf across here now by using that extra leg. And I actually had a P-clip spare. I put some screws at the back to stop the pipe from going into the side, and yeah, but it can actually be removed out. You can slot it out, and if you don't need it anymore, and then it can float, it can fold back. So you can pull this pole out by just loosening the screws, and then it'll fold back into the side of the frame. But I'm going to use it, and I'm going to use the remaining staging that I've got here, perhaps to build like a workbench or some shelving, you know, just to use this up a space that I might not use all year round. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I'm glad that I came up with that little idea. And then it'll also perch onto this brace here, but I will have to raise that up a little bit because obviously that pole is higher. But a little bit of timber on this one side, and we've got ourselves in a little workbench on the side of the polytunnel. I can still put under here then my wheelbarrow or my hose pipe and some compost and things. And then if I decide then I want to plant here in buckets, because I might put some potato buckets here, or then afterwards then put some tomatoes or something in buckets, I can then take off the shelving here and then let it climb all the way up. But that's when we're using the spare staging legs, is to build a little floating shelf. So I've popped over early because there's been a bark delivery, and I'm also having some pallets delivered as well, and they're quite cheap. I've ordered 10 for £3 each, brand new pallets, and they'll be for a new compost bay and also another little build I've got coming up. But let's wait for the pallets, get them on the plot, and then let's do a bark haul, fill up the polytunnel, and let's get all that done. Let's go. Okay. I am absolutely over the moon now that it finally feels like the polytunnel is ready for planting. I know there's plenty more to do. There's still the boards and the bed to build over here and fill up with compost. Top dress this with compost ready for planting. Fill up this bed. Now this used to be the bean bed on the fig and olive plot, and it didn't do as well as I hoped. And I think that was due to sunlight. So I'm going to remodel that area over there, and this is now going to move into this area. So I think it's nice. It's got rounded edges, so it's better, so I won't be kicking my ankles on it, and it's the perfect size for these two poles here as well if I want to fit anything above, like a net or a mesh or something. And I've still got plenty of room then, a good 6 foot or more space here as well if I want to work here in autumn and winter. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're just as thrilled as I am, considering this was a muddy mess only a week or so ago. And yeah, I have worked and worked in between uni and my job and everything else to just get this ready for autumn. And I mean, there's still loads to do, but we're on the right path. I'm Danny and this is Grow Up.